A Florida man pretended to be a flight attendant and got over 100 free flights. A Florida man tried to pay for sex at a club and then called 911 for not receiving services. Ronnie D., the Florida man, says Floridians have a right to run over protesters with their cars. And a naked Florida man with a penis pump was arrested near a Florida gas station. These are the stories for Friday on Weird AF News. They're all from the state of Florida. Because on Friday, I only do weird news from Florida. It's Florida Friday on Weird AF News. A Florida man has been convicted after he got 120 free flights by pretending to be a flight attendant. Given the cost of airfare these days, travelers are trying all kinds of ways to score more free flights and discounted flights. While loyalty points and the famed buddy pass that flight attendants can give out to their lucky friends or family members are the most common methods, in some cases travelers have gotten even more creative. In this most recent escapade, a Florida man has been arrested and convicted in an elaborate scheme in which he impersonated a flight attendant and was able to secure 120 free flights. Wow, this guy's a legend. Convicted of what? Being awesome? Got 120 free flights pretending to be a flight attendant. I didn't even know you could do that. The airlines hate this one trick. Let's find out how he did it for research purposes. According to a release filed by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, 35-year-old Florida man Tyron Alexander was convicted of wire fraud and entering into a secure area of an airport by false pretenses. From 2018 to 2024, Florida man Alexander booked free flights on an airline's website that were only available to pilots and flight attendants. These free flights were claimed through the airline carrier's website application process, a process that requires an applicant to select whether they're a pilot or a flight attendant, provide their employer, date of hire, and a badge number. He claimed that he worked for 7 different airlines and had approximately 30 different badge numbers and dates of hire. How did he get all of this information? Oh, so he's just doing this all online. This is online fraud. He wasn't showing up at the airport pretending to be an actual crew member of the flight. I don't think he was passing out pretzels and cracking beers open for the other passengers to get these free flights. Let's keep reading, though. I'm curious. It says, over the course of his fraudulence, he was able to secure a total of 120 flights by claiming to be a flight attendant with 7 different airlines. While aviation crew have an internal system allowing them to book personal travel and transportation to their home base after work, it is unclear how Florida man Alexander was able to repeatedly gain access to ones for different carriers and why non-existent badge numbers were not flagged by at least one of them. Airlines whose employees he has impersonated have also not been named. He was using badge numbers that are non-existent, just making them up in the database. I'm sorry, officer. I didn't know I couldn't do that. It says here that this genius Florida man ultimately secured free travel on 3 airlines over the course of 6 years total. While being registered as a crew worker with one airline typically earns 1 discounted travel on another airline with which the carrier has a code share agreement, the Florida man likely created separate accounts for each airline to get entirely free travel over the course of those years. The Florida man is scheduled to be sentenced on August 25th and faces up to 30 years total in federal prison. That seems a little stiff. He hasn't really hurt anybody except, I guess, some rich CEOs, but you can't steal from the billionaires, you know. They really slap you with the book. I mean, it sounds to me like they ought to get their act together and make it not so easy to pretend to be an employee and get free flights. All you need is a laptop? I mean, is that what you're telling me? And just make up some badge numbers? I mean, their system is flawed. This guy shouldn't have to do this much time. I've heard of people getting more time for killing someone with a DUI. Well, I guess it remains to be seen if they're going to make a real example of this individual, which sounds like that's what they want to do. This reminds me of that film, Catch Me If You Can. Do you remember that? Great film starring Leo, where he pretends to be a pilot. I mean, he goes the full, puts on the uniform, actually gets in the cockpit. And it's based on a true story, by the way. That guy, Frank something, wrote the book. That guy went on to later help the FBI catch fraudulent individuals as well. Fascinating story about that dude. I recommend rewatching that movie. It's worth it. Great film. A Florida man tried to pay for sex at a strip club and then called 911 when he was denied service. A Florida strip club patron who tried to pay a worker for sex was arrested after calling the police to complain that he did not receive, quote, services. This Florida man's name is Sultan Al-Nafai. He's 21 years old. 21 years old. Oh, he's just a baby. Was this his first strip club experience? Was he like, I heard you could just pay them to do everything, and if they don't give it to you, you just call the police. This guy, Sultan, called 911 from the OZ Gentlemen's Club in Clearwater, Florida, after midnight last weekend, claiming a security guard took $300 from him and withheld services that he paid for. Well, that's your first mistake. You don't give the security guard money for services. You give the ladies some money for services, Sultan. You would think a sultan would know this. Aren't they familiar with harems? The Sultan was reportedly trying to use the cash to pay for a private room where he and a worker at the club could have sex. When he was denied, he called 911 to complain. Poor 911 operators, they just get calls for frivolous, ridiculous, non-emergency situations like this. Although I'm sure to the Sultan it felt like an emergency. The Sultan told dispatchers to, quote, come take him to jail, and explained that he had paid for sex but did not receive any services. Ah, poor guy. Did you try going to a Walmart parking lot? I mean, for $300, you can get many services in a Walmart parking lot, or perhaps a gas station. I've heard Wendy's parking lots adjacent to the dumpster is a good place for getting some services in Florida. They'll even throw an alligator in there for a real Florida man threesome. The staff at the strip club told the police that the Sultan requested a private room to have sex with a staff member. Okay, I think I covered that already. Investigators noted the Sultan appeared intoxicated and smelled of alcohol when they arrested him. No kidding. The Florida man has been charged with misusing the wireless 911 system, which is a misdemeanor. Oh, he's lucky. He's only getting a misdemeanor. No other charges related to the sex part of it, like soliciting a prostitute or anything like that. Just misuse of 911. No additional charges for, I don't know, lewd and lascivious behavior. I mean, because that's kind of lascivious. Propositioning somebody for some sexual services in the champagne room. You know, sorry, no sex in the champagne room for this Florida man. The Sultan of Swing. The arrest report also indicates that the Sultan is a Saudi Arabian citizen living in a suburb of Miami. Well, this might explain some of the behavior. Maybe you can call the police on such things in Saudi Arabia. Yes, police. She did not give me vagine, so maybe we throw stones at her. Hello, police. I pay $300 to Saudi Arabian stripper, and she won't even show me her chin. Yeah, can you imagine those kinds of strip clubs over there? I don't know. I've never been. I'm just making stuff up. Now, I have heard anecdotally from people that I know that under certain circumstances in certain places, you can negotiate with a stripper in the back room for extra touching and what have you. So you can imagine what that would be. I've also heard from a friend who came out to L.A. for a visit, and he decided to go by himself to a strip club in Hollywood, and he got a stripper's phone number, and then outside of the strip club, he negotiated for extra services, and from my understanding, received those services and then went on to basically fall in love with her, which is a big mistake. You never fall in love with the stripper. That's stripper 101. Florida Governor Ronnie Little D says that Floridians have a right to run over protesters with their cars. Ronnie D was speaking about what's been going on in the culture lately regarding protests. He had something to say about it when it comes to Florida and their policies down there. Ronnie says, quote, "We also have a policy that if you're driving on one of them streets and a mob of protesters comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you run over one of these peoples, that's their fault for impinging upon you and your freedoms. You don't have to just sit there and be a sitting duck and let the protesters grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets, you can just run them right over with your vehicles. No problem now. Problem solving 101. Florida man style. Yeehaw. Pew pew. Well, I mean, this all makes sense. Florida has the stand your ground law, after all. This is the stand your pedal to the metal law, or your bumper to the rumper. I mean, can you imagine if our forefathers could see us now? Just rolling in their graves. Yeah. Hey, Ronnie D, someone needs to tell him that I'm pretty certain our forefathers established a country where citizens can peacefully assemble without, I don't know, getting smashed by a Ford F-150. Now, it says here, Ronnie D's comments come ahead of the No Kings protests, which are planned for tomorrow, June 14th. You probably heard about that. Protest organizers have said the demonstrations are nonviolent and are providing de-escalation training to people taking part of this protest. But, I mean, if you're doing it in Florida, you better look out, because I'm pretty sure your governor just advocated for vehicular homicide. I mean, of all the states you want people to be hitting each other with cars, it's the one where all the citizens are also carrying a gun. So I'm sure this is going to go really well over the weekend. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but for some reason I just don't think, but the governor said I can commit murder is a very acceptable defense in a court of law. But what do I know? I've never been to a court of law in the state of Florida, so maybe in that bizarro land. Now, for those of you living in Florida, I don't recommend you just running over protesters with your vehicle. The caveat is, of course, according to Ronnie Little D, is if you feel threatened, then go right ahead and just drive over citizens. You must feel threatened first. I mean, that's the barometer you want to go by. The feelings of a Florida citizen. Yeah, I don't know. The population where, I don't know, what, half of them are on drugs and are intoxicated. Now, if you've ever wondered why Florida is just so dang violent, I mean, this is the evidence right here. They just make it so easy to solve your problems in Florida with violence. Think about it. And this is all from lawmakers. They're like, it's easy to get a gun, according to the lawmakers. You can carry a gun without a permit, thanks to Florida lawmakers. There's the stand your ground law, which is if you feel threatened, you could just whip out your pistol and go to town. And now you have a governor encouraging you just running over protesters if you feel threatened. And then we're all wondering why there's so much violence. I mean, you can point directly at the lawmakers. Anyways, I'll get off my popsicle stand. Is that a thing, a popsicle stand? A naked Florida man with a penis pump was arrested at a Florida gas station. A 63-year-old Florida man was apprehended after he allegedly traveled to a gas station in Ocala. He removed all of his clothing and then used a device known as a penis pump while he was waiting for an unknown woman to arrive for some sex. So it sounds like he took his pump out at the pumps, eh? Just pumping his old pump at the pumps. Pumping your pump at the pumps ain't for chumps. All right, let's get back into the story. We need some details. Was there an alligator involved? How about some drugs and drug paraphernalia? This occurred on Monday at 2:45 p.m. Sounds about right. Middle of the day is when you want to be pumping your pump at the pumps. The Ocala Police Department officer responded to the racetrack gas station after receiving reports of a man who was naked by the semi-truck gas pumps. Was he in his car naked, pumping his pump, or was he just out right next to the pumps pumping his pump on the asphalt, which would be categorized as lewd and lascivious behavior on the asphalt? We have here a witness. Oh boy, poor witness. It's going to be some PTSD involved for this witness. Witness is going to need some post-pumping at the pump therapy. A witness told the police that a fully naked man, later identified by the police as Edmund Joseph Claremont IV, was observed exiting a pickup truck. According to the witness, Edmund Joseph Claremont IV had a, quote, clear and black penis pump attached to his penis. So he exited his truck with the penis pump attached to him and he was naked? Picture that. The guy gets out of his truck completely nude. There's a penis pump still attached to him. Doesn't even take it off to go, I don't know, buy some beach nuts. Beach nuts, that's a weird purchase. Jerky. He could have been buying some jerky, just jerking it before the jerky. It was National Jerky Day the other day. I don't know if it was this same day. Was it Penis Pump Day and I missed it? Is he pumping his pump at the pumps because it's National Pump Day? Jonesy, every day in Florida is Pump Your Pump Day. Oh, right. I forgot. All right, I digest. It says, after the witness reported the incident to the gas station, several employees confronted the Florida man. I'm sure he had a good excuse. He's like, I saw a sign that said self-pump, and I thought, I don't know. I'll start pumping, huh? You can't arrest me. It says self-service right on the sign, right there. Right there. Right, the article doesn't say what happened during the confrontation, but moments later, the Florida man entered his pickup truck still wearing the pump and drove away from the business. That's when the police arrived at the gas station, and then they reviewed the surveillance footage, which allegedly showed the Florida man Claremont wiping down his vehicle without any clothes on. The officer noted in the report that Claremont, the Florida man, was fully naked in public. The local police then tracked down the pickup truck, matching the description of the vehicle provided by the witnesses. When the police attempted to conduct a traffic stop, the truck headed towards an intersection and away from the police. The pickup truck driver, Claremont, was observed putting his clothes back on while driving away and being pursued by law enforcement for approximately 1 mile. Abort mission. Clothes back on, penis pump in glove compartment. We'll get out of this. It says when the Florida man reached the Northwest 30th Avenue, he stopped his vehicle and was detained in handcuffs. The Florida man allegedly told the police officer that he, quote, did nothing wrong. The officer mentioned in the report that during a search of the pickup truck, a clear and black penis pump was found in a grocery bag on the passenger seat. An open Budweiser container was also allegedly observed in a cup holder, along with several unopened bottles of alcohol as well. The Florida man doesn't even attempt to hide the penis pump. Under the seat is a place you could hide a penis pump. I've never hit a penis pump before. I've never had a penis pump. I've never even seen a penis pump in real life. Looks like a good way to spend your afternoon in Florida. In the privacy of your own home, not at the pump. After reading him his Miranda rights, the Florida man claimed that he had been informed that an unknown woman frequently travels to that gas station to engage in sexual activity with truck drivers. He stated that his wife had passed away several years ago. He was lonely, and he just wanted to have sexual intercourse with that unknown female for pleasure. So he was going on a rumor. There's some sort of mythology. Yes, I've heard the story of a wonderful Florida woman who has most of her teeth, who will meet you at this gas station if you show up fully prepared for sexual intercourse. Don't come not prepared, if you know what I mean. Make sure you bring your pump to the pumps. That way she knows you mean business.
Hey, Todd, Daddy, how you doing?
Hi, my friends and loyal listeners of the Weird AF News podcast. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Florida Friday, and a special thanks to those of you who sent me Florida stories the past few days. I appreciate your assistance so very much. Thank you. You can always email me links to stories that you find appropriate for the Weird AF News podcast by sending the email to funnyjones@gmail.com or going into my DMs on Instagram at funnyjones. I want to give thanks to someone who bought me coffees on my website, weirdafnews.com. You can buy me a coffee. You can join the Patreon. There's various ways in which you can support the show, which is one dude inside a closet, basically. That's my productions. Anyways, Camila bought me a coffee and wrote, "Hey, listen to you religiously every day, Jonesy. And if you are interested in horror romance, you can Google me as Nasira the Author. That is my pen name. Jonesy, you are the bomb." Isn't that a lovely message from Nasira the Author? Super cool. I then did a search for Nasira the Author. Turns out she's legitimate. She has several books out there, including My Beloved Curse, The Liar, The Longing, and the Kidra series. Other titles by Nasira include Essence of a Moon Eclipse, Hazrat Hani, Malady of a Frankenstein. I'm hoping I'm getting these correct. You can see her books are on Goodreads and Amazon as well. So if you're interested in this genre, which is horror romance, which I believe is pretty popular these days, then check out the writings of Nasira, the author, who happens to be a listener. I'm so flattered. I didn't know I had a real novelist that listens to my podcast. I'm so flattered. Thank you so much. And I wish you the best of luck in your artistic endeavors. Please support her. It's very difficult to make it as an artist these days. Very, very much so. It's a highly competitive industry. Writing books, I'd imagine. It's same with podcasts. Highly competitive. There's like 2 billion podcasts, or however they're not billion, million, but I was close. Anyways, if you guys would like to support me, you can go to weirdafnews.com and buy me a coffee or something like that. Anyways, not necessary. You don't have to spend a dime to support the show. You could just tell a friend over the weekend if you're having a little barbecue or something. Maybe you're at a protest. Just tell some of your fellow protesters, or tell the arresting officer about Weird AF News. You know, when you're on your way to the old cell block. Please don't do anything stupid like that, though. Just try and keep it together. You know, I completely support going out in public and expressing your displeasure with government and whatnot and protesting. That is your right. But please don't do anything foolish. You know, it's when people start graffitiing and breaking and entering and looting. That is unacceptable. So don't even be near that. If it starts happening, go away. All right? You don't want to be affiliated with any of that behavior. You will get arrested. I mean, there's a chance. And so I don't want anything to happen to my listeners. I care about you guys like family. So anyways, so I hope you're having a great weekend, or you had one, or you already had one. If you're in the Southern California area, I have a show tonight, Friday night in Hollywood, and a show tomorrow night, Saturday night, up near Thousand Oaks, which is a little bit outside of LA. So all of that information is on my Instagram at FunnyJones, and you can find that. And please, if you're so inclined, show up, introduce yourself. We'll do a shot. We'll say hello. We'll take a photo, have a conversation. It'll be good. I love meeting listeners. Anyways, take care, and good luck with your life, man.